All right, so we got some new stuff in AV over IP. I'll get to that here. Let me get everybody on the same page. So PureLink, we've got 6 sub-brands. Today we're going to be going over the PureStream brand. I want to make sure everybody knows that we carry the world's most advanced and largest cross-platform matrix products in media access and pure media. PureStream covers a great deal of network-based products. Icon is our innovative control automation platform that if you don't know about it yet, I strongly encourage you to come to the webinars on that. This is the easiest control platform to program in the market. HD Tools covers a huge range of products from test pattern generators to scaling converters, distribution, switching, and many other products. And Total Wire is our brand of high performance cabling from fiber to CAT to HDMI, DisplayPort, fiber and copper. So take a look at that and reach out to us if you have any needs in those areas. So that's our story. This is our story of innovation starting back in 2002. Pioneer brought to market the world's first DVI fiber cable, first matrix switcher. We were the very first to handle multiple keys on HDCP keys for matrix systems, and we invented that, as well as EDID emulation in cross-platform and matrix switching. 2008 was the beginning of our cross-platform digital modular matrices. And then we went on to be the first in the industry to extend control over fiber and HD-based T, and also Ultra HD, and the world's largest shipping cross-platform matrix switch. In 2015, we brought to market the world's first up-down Ultra HD scaling engine, and continuing through 2018, in 2017, we added 4K30 AV over IP, 4K60 AV over IP, first seamless presentation switcher in 2021, 8K cables, both copper and fiber, and so much more. So we'll leave it at that. And we have quite a large number of clients crossing many markets, from education to government, military, healthcare, corporate, entertainment, and so on. Okay, so today we'll be going over specifically our AV over IP solutions. The first one up is going to be the advantages of our lineup. So what does PureStream, what does PureLink's PureStream line bring to you that gives you the advantage? And the first and quite important point, number one, is the 4 products in one. You can do point-to-point extension even without a network. And I'd like you to really think about that, because if you're designing a system and you have HD-based T products, for example, that you're looking at doing, but you think that there might be some scaling going on in the future, AV over IP offers that. That technology gives you that advantage, and I can take a point-to-point extender and I can now add a decoder and make it a 1x2 switch, or maybe 7 decoders, and I can have a 1x7. So you build it to the way you need it, but you can replace many different types of products just by carrying 2 SKUs, an encoder and a decoder. So now I can do distribution systems, switching, matrixing, and I already kind of started covering the flexibility and scalability, but again, I can take a 1x1 and convert that at any time in the install, pre-design, post-design, redesign. I can also service one component of the system at a time. If you think about if you have an 8x8 switch and one of the inputs has an issue, you pull the whole thing. That wouldn't be the case here. You just replace or service the one point in the system. So that's important. And you can build it, as I mentioned, to the exact size of the system you need, and you can do very high input-output counts. So we do have applications out there where we're doing 50, 60, 70 encoders and well over 100 decoders. So you can build rather large systems, and you can continue past that. You can do hundreds of encoders and literally thousands of decoders if you have a system that calls for it. So AV over IP really brings you those opportunities Another really important point on AV over IP products is the diagnostics and control capability. So when I'm on the network and I can talk to these boxes, the encoders and decoders, I can ask everything about those boxes. You know, what the scaling engine is set to, how my audio is routed, what kind of audio is coming through, what the multicast IP addresses are, the IP address, everything. I can get all the data I need about those boxes, including, and this is very important, I can get data about what's connected to those boxes. So if I want to know if my source is active, I can do that by asking the encoder what's connected to the input. And I can even get the resolution and refresh rate and other details of that source. On the decoder side, I can request the EDID table from the display, or even a switch. If there's a switch on the output of the decoder, those actually will have a loaded EDID table in there, and I can grab that from the switch. So you now have the capability of doing system management and diagnostics just by using PureLink encoders and decoders as your distribution and switching product. So that's a very valuable feature that you can use. That you can even do this even if it's a point-to-point extender. If you have it on the network, then I can talk to the encoder and decoder and get all that data I just mentioned. And you can't do that with HD-based-T. Okay, final and extremely important point is easiest installation and operation in the industry. We launched our PureStream line in 2014. That was 10 years ago. And when we launched that product, the number one design for our product line, because back in 2014, there was a lot of struggles. Not that there aren't some now, but this was a fairly new technology back then. And so we came to market with, we really have to make this easy to get up and running and to stay up and running and to operate. So you'll find these work right out of the box. And we also offer custom services at no charge to prepare your products for your project. So if you have, and we've been doing that for years. So if you have a project where you have a known IP address scheme and you want the boxes configured, we do that. And we're one of the few companies in the world that still QA every product at time of order. So we can get these set up for you and document them, label them, and you could theoretically just drop ship these to a job site and they'll be up and running. And there's actually case studies on our website of customers who have done large systems where we pre-configured everything at time of order and they were drop shipped to the job site and they plugged in and they worked. So definitely take advantage of that. The other thing that's important is that we invented the video over IP channel change topology. And you're going to see that when we start looking at the products. But many of our competitors out there, well, all of them, were requiring their own proprietary software or a lot of custom work to get encoders and decoders to talk to each other. But we went with a channel table that made that as easy enough that your 3-year-old could do it. Anybody who's changed the channel on a cable box or a satellite, they can operate the PureLink AV over IP encoder decoder systems. Okay, so let's start with the T400. And I'm going to go through our encoder decoder systems, and then we have some other products I think now you've seen that I'm going to show you. But first we'll start with the T400, and this is our TAA compliant 4K 60 AV over IP solution. Really great, very, very rich product. As you can see, we have a wall plate HDMI transmitter with USB 2.0 included in audio insertion. I do want to tell you that we did everything possible to make this single gang. It's not possible. If it could have been done, we would have done it, but it could not be done. So it is 2 gang. If anyone tells you they can do this in a single gang, they're not selling you a true 4K 60 wall plate transmitter. Okay, so we use the JPEG 2000 codec. There's a lot of companies out there that use nice little marketing terms to encapsulate that, like Pixel Perfect, but we all use JPEG 2000 codec for the most part in the 1G network world. You'll hear some others, not too common, but you'll hear VC9 and so on. But JPEG 2000 has definitely risen to the top as the codec of choice for quality imagery. The T400 is all PoE, and you can connect to your network cat or fiber. So if you look at the back side of the encoder or decoders, you'll see that I've got cat or fiber options. Currently, our wallplate is cat only, but the other two you can mix or match. And there's really two main scenarios that's going to happen. Distance is greater than what cat can achieve, or you might have a secure government facility where you need to do fiber. So the possibility to mix and match is there. I can even have some decoders cat and some fiber just because I have a few displays that are too far away. So you don't have to pick one and done. You can mix that up. So we do offer audio insertion on the transmitter. And then I can also de-embed my audio at the transmitter. So if I have an HDMI input on the encoder transmitter, I can de-embed that right there, or I can de-embed it at whatever decoder I'm sending that signal to. All right, what are some other important points? We've got scaling built into the decoder where I can do up to an 8x8 video wall, but I can do anything under that. I can do a 1x3 or a 2x5 or 4x4, whatever, up to 8x8. And I can also rotate the image, and I can lock the scalar output. So if I have a certain resolution display and I want the scalar to always work to the resolution of that display, that I can set and leave. Right now, I mentioned the channel display before. You'll see this 2-digit LED on the front panel of the encoder and decoder. And what that is under the hood, and this will be true for the rest of the VIP products as we go through them. They all do this. But what we did was to make this not only very easy for the installer and the end user, but we also made it for the purpose of allowing you to choose whether you even want a third-party control system. We take the multicast streams that come out of the encoder and we assign them a channel number. So when you select a encoder to broadcast on channel 1, for example, under the hood, it's broadcasting a certain multicast IP address. But this way you don't have to think about it. You don't have to worry about any of that. And it makes it very fast and easy to set up. And then the decoders, you just set them to the same channel as whatever encoder you want it to accept the stream from. So it took something very difficult to think and talk about it, and it made it very simple. All right. So that also means that if I'm using this as an extender, very simple, just they're both set to channel 1 out of the box and they work. If I now want a distribution system, I just set all my decoders to the channel of the encoder. And then if I get into switching, then it gets where, I want to have the ability to change the decoder channel either by the end user or by a control system, or the end user through a control system. So if I don't want a control system, or I don't need one, or it's not in the budget or whatever reason, I've got front panel controls on the decoder where I can change the channel. So I'm not bound to a control system no matter what. There are many, many advantages to having a control system. So of course our products work with our own Icon control automation line, as well as Crestron and QSys and Extron, Savant, AMX, Control 4, and any others you can think of. We have drivers for many of those. For those that we don't, we have an extremely simple command structure, and our API is also very rich. So anything you want to be able to do, you can do through the control commands. Change settings, get data or values or settings or information from the boxes. Okay, and last, the most important is these are ready to ship. So if you need a solution like this now, we've got you covered. So please just reach out to our sales team for that. All right, again, I know that was a lot, but now you know a lot about the other products I'm about to show you because they all share a lot of similar features. We do have rack mounts for these, by the way. So if you need those are obviously pretty popular when you're doing encoders in a rack. So we have all that for you, but we also have rack mounts for the decoders. And if you notice, these have the same form factor. So it's one rack mount, works with either box. There's one last thing I'm going to mention before we move on to the next slide is we use half of the PoE 802.3 AF standard, and that standard is rated at 15 watts. So we draw about 7 watts of power. This is way lower than a lot of our competitors, and as many of you know, there's a lot of advantages to that. We're fanless, for one. These things run almost room temperature to the touch. You're welcome to come see the live demo at Infocom and see that for real for yourself, or try our 30-day test drive program and try these on your own bench to see that. But the point of that is we're putting out maybe like 21 BTU per box. So there's very low thermal output of these. So very low power requirements, very low thermal output. So the VIP 400, now this is almost exactly the same product I just showed you. The T400 is a TAA compliant product with a wallplate encoder option, and the 400 is non-TAA compliant, no wallplate option. The price is a little bit less. I don't talk actual prices in the webinars. Please contact sales for that. But its feature list is identical to the T400. All right, the T300, this is also TAA compliant. This has actually been around a long time. We have this in a lot of military bases running 24/7, 365. And this is a 4K30 product, and a lot of applications, 4K30 is more than enough or exactly what they need. So if you don't need 4K60 and 4K30 is sufficient, take a look at this product. It is also, less than the 400 and the T400. But as you can see, it's quite rich in diagnostics. I got LEDs all over the front. We get into those in other classes, or you can contact me directly if you want to know a lot of the deep details about it. But again, it's been around a long time. It's very reliable. Then we have the T200. This is 1080p 60. Now this does do the channel topology, but this was actually the very first product we launched in 2014, and we hadn't added the LED display as you see in all the rest of the product line. But this does display the channel information on screen. And so it's 1080p, again, JPEG 2000 codec. Its scaling engine is the same as the ones we've looked at before. It can do video wall, 90, 80, 180 degree rotation. So if all you need is 1080p, this could be a good option for you. Okay, the 100 series. Now this is different from the rest of the ones that we've looked at in the codec. All the ones we've looked at before are based on JPEG 2000, but this one is H.264. So the reason that we've got a different codec is there are times where latency is not important, but bandwidth, you're trying to get it as low as possible. So JPEG 2000, it doesn't really have a high bandwidth, but it can be usually anywhere from 100 to 850 megabits, where the H.264 codec will pull things down more in the 25 megabit range. So if you're really tight on bandwidth in the network, this would be the right solution for you. However, H.264 does have visually noticeable latency. It's usually anywhere from 300 to 400 millisecond range, and that would be noticeable in an IMAG scenario where you can see the original content versus the repeated content. So if you have content, for example, digital signage, or you're doing breakout rooms, and you're just moving data from our video audio from one room to another room, latency is not going to be perceived. So we see this product in a lot of scenarios there. For example, fitness centers, education applications where they're distributing information, aka digital signage around the campus, malls, anywhere where pre-recorded content is being displayed, and so on. Okay, that's all of our encoder decoder systems. And then we have a different type of system here. This is encoding, and the purpose of the VIP Stream 200, just from a technical level, is to take a source and encode it to a stream. And the decode side of things is what we call soft codecs. So YouTube or Facebook or Twitter, well, I guess you don't call it Twitter anymore, Wowza, Vimeo, and so on. And there are others. And one really good example is LG displays. LG WebOS can accept the streams from the VIP Stream 200. So you can use these encoders and then have LG displays. And there are others, but that's the example we have, is these can decode those. So you can create really unique distribution systems that can be applied to very large venue scenarios. So if you want to get information to a very, very large audience around the world, then the VIP Stream 200 solves that. And it takes any HDMI source to anywhere. So I can take the output of a broadcast switch or a media player. I could have a camera going into it. So there's just many, many different scenarios. Some examples in the real world is, House of Worship is probably one of the largest markets that takes advantage of this kind of product, where they can stream live their services. But there are some interesting applications we've also seen, one example being data analytics across manufacturing facilities. An exact example of that is a famous tire manufacturer where they're trying to show their daily numbers across multiple manufacturing campuses. They stream this data out, and then that can be watched in real time at the other locations. So that's just one example. But this is definitely the future, being able to stream anything, anywhere. Now you can stream multiple streams simultaneously. The different formats is RTSP, RTMP, RTMPS, and TS. And I can do 3 of those simultaneously. The RTMP or RTMPS, I have to pick which one of those I'm going to do. Now, Facebook, for example, requires RTMPS, whereas YouTube, you can choose RTMPS or RTMP. You can do either one. But while I'm streaming to one of those platforms at a time, I can simultaneously stream using TS or RTSP. All right, so very flexible, very powerful. Again, if you want to kick the tires on this, just contact us to try that out. All right, now I'm going to switch over to our new offerings in the world of Dante. We've had Dante in our cross-platform matrix routers, Pure Media and Media Access. Both provide some of the most powerful Dante I/O capabilities in the world. You can do an enormous amount of Dante connectivity on those. But of course, there's plenty of applications where you just need to be able to output or ingest analog audio from the Dante network. So we have a number of products. I'm starting here with the 8x8, but we are moments from introducing the 16x16 next week. So look out for that. But right now we've got the 8x8 in full production, and it's not a complicated product. If you know Dante, it's simply an I/O interface for Dante, and we have full DSP capability. So as you can see, we can do compression, automatic gain control, parametric EQ, feedback control, auto mixing, echo, and a few other typical DSP functions. And also in production right now is our 4x4. That's also a rack mount unit. So it's the same as the one we just looked at, just a one size smaller. And then we've got dongles. So we've got our 2 in, 2 output USB dongles. So this is actually very cool. to be able to connect to a laptop or a desktop and be able to output directly to the Dante network from your computer, or also directly take in 2 channels of Dante input. Okay, and then we've got the ability to take 2 channels of analog balanced audio and put that onto the Dante network, and then also take that out of the Dante network and put it into a mixer or signal processor, things like that. So we've got cameras that stream. We've got the VIP Cam 100 NDI. So this is a very high quality camera. We've done a lot of shootouts against some of the top names in the camera world and come out ahead on those. So I really encourage you to try these cameras because the quality of the optics is really good. The chip, very, very good picture. And also the pan tilt zoom mechanisms are pro level. So for those of you who do live presentations, we call that follow presenter when you have a camera operator who has to move the camera constantly to stay with the presenter. This camera is absolutely capable of doing that. It has very fine granular movement capability. You can move it in very small amounts or move it very fast. You can go everywhere in between, and these are commonly used in follow presenter situations with joystick controllers and via Visca or Pelco. Okay, so the 20x zoom allows you to deal with pretty deep rooms to get talking head shots, and our digital zoom is scalable. So if you don't want 12x digital zoom, that would give you a total of 240x zoom capability if you enabled all of that along with the optical zoom. If I just enable, let's say 2x capability, then I've got 40x zoom, and I would challenge whether you can see image quality differences in the applications you would use that in. So 40x would give you very significant talking head framing capability. So this is used everywhere from huddle rooms and conference rooms to auditoriums, house of worship, venues, and so on. The remote control that comes with it is full featured, allows me to create and recall presets all just using the remote control, and I can pan, tilt, zoom, make adjustments to all the parameters. It has a full set of white balance capabilities, both automatic and manual, color temperature, noise reduction, and if there's slight shaking in the image, it has reduction capability for that as well. So as terms of outputs, I mentioned NDI-HX, but I also have RTSP, RTP outputs, and HDMI and 3G SDI outputs. So it's got many different ways to connect to it. And again, it is Visca and Pelco control standard, so I can use this with any controller, including we actually have a controller in our line if you're interested in looking at that. But this could be, you could mix and match this alongside other brands and they all use the same control, so it just drops in without any issues. Okay, and then a little bit different connectivity. You notice the camera looks exactly the same, but the VIP Cam 30, again, 20x optical zoom, but 8x digital zoom, and its outputs are RTSP, RTP streaming, but HDMI and USB 2.0 output. So we don't have NDI-HX in here, but USB 2.0, that is for applications where you want to connect the camera directly to collaboration codecs like what we're using now, like GoToWebinar, Microsoft Teams, Zoom, Google Meet, and many others. But the USB 2.0 output makes it just seamlessly integrate with your computer as a video source for any of your collaboration codecs. All right, important services that PureLink offers you, very important, is our test drive. So everything that I've showed you is available for you to request a demo sample, 30 days, kick the tires on it, try it out. If you like it, keep it. We will absolutely bill you for it. Do not worry. But if it's not exactly what you need, just send it back. And we're always happy to make sure that we partner with you to help solve things. So if we don't quite hit the mark with something, talk to us. We'll be glad to help you either find something else in our catalog or tell you who else might have something. We'd rather help you and you call us again. So please reach out to us and we'll support you in your design. We'd like you to connect with us so that you keep in touch with all the things we've got going on in our products and services and our PureLink University. So probably the very best way is LinkedIn and our emails. So if you go to our website in the upper right, there's a way to sign up for our emails and keep in touch with us that way. Also, we post on all these social media sites every week. So take a look at that. Please try our 30-day test drive program. Try out our new Dante stuff. We've got other webinars coming up on our huddle room products. We have a whole bunch of USB-C solutions now. So come take a look at those. Thanks for your time, and I'll see you guys at the next webinar.